Greetings and salutations. Thanks for joining me in this holiday special. It seems I am always starting off with an apology. We were supposed to have a Christmas podcast. Like many things, it doesn't seem to go to plan, does it? Right. So we're drawing to the end of 2023, the last 2 days of December. It looks like we probably won't be doing a New Year's podcast either. I won't go too far into the details. For a lot of you,
afternoon, brother.
How are you? Reviving Real News. Welcome again. As always, I was hoping you'd be the first to pop in as well. Well done for coming on time. But yeah, I don't know if just me or just a few of us, but these past couple of months have been quite dark for a lot of us. Some of us have been tested with some tribulations,
Sadly,
difficulties.
I believe there won't be a New Year live stream B.
Yep. So I thought I'd quickly get this out, give you all... let me shut the window. Your neighbours setting off fireworks.
Didn't have a Christmas one. Lazarus is going through it. Prayers for him.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about dealing with catastrophe, managing disasters and tragedy. Not just Lazarus, God bless him, but a few others. I'll try not to go into too many details, but it's important, I think, to know how to deal with disasters. All the things we talk about, all the training, all the advice.
My heart breaks for him, makes my situation look like child's play.
So he told you as well, eh? Yeah. I won't reveal his situation, but yeah, our prayers and thoughts go out to our brother. Maybe if he's watching this, he could take some solace in the things I'm about to say. And those of you that are listening, do pay attention.
I thought I sincerely have it bad, but wow, that humbled me to my core.
I know. Nothing can really prepare you for certain situations. Some things, you can talk about them for years and years, and when it does happen, you're still overwhelmed. But the practice we put people onto.
I miss him, brother.
I miss him too. Hopefully, being one of the stronger individuals, he'll pull through. I'm confident he'll be all right. we're not exactly newbies to dealing with disasters and tragedy. But yeah, all the things we talk about, all the advice, all the training we put ourselves into, all the years of discipline, all the philosophical education, all the self-taught, our Socratic approach, our metacognitive teachings.
Correct, we already have calluses and battle scars.
Yeah. But when you actually go through it, I don't think it's any secret that you're no longer yourself during that period. It's something that if you're well versed, if you're a veteran, if you're one of those that are able to self-compose, you're one of those that are able to control your thoughts and your emotions, it can still be a difficult time.
God only puts his toughest warriors into battle 100 points.
Well said, brother. Well said. And I have to add that it won't be the last, you know. There are still tribulations, trials, difficulties to overcome. What we've been through, those of us that have been through the worst among us, there's still more to come. But just to touch upon a little bit of existential philosophy, if you're one of those that perhaps you might not have codified it, if you're one of those that think that life, or you've based your life, you've founded your existence, your purpose upon enjoyment, and you might not even call it that, it's something like something you sort of adapt and you sort of build upon when you're growing up. You sort of make life about just having fun, just being like, life has to be about happiness. Unfortunately, these are the ones that are least able to cope with disasters and catastrophes, because when your life is about enjoying yourself and life is no longer enjoyable, like one of my great teachers say that when life becomes like that way, everything a man does from that point on is about ending his life. When life is no longer enjoyable, when you're no longer happy, well, almost everything you do is about trying to destroy yourself or destroy the world around you. It's the self-destructive path that, unfortunately, a lot of us are sort of one foot in, one foot out. It is sort of in our culture now, in our Western culture, as the government continue their decline and their, as I heard you say, the last vestiges of an empire. Their systems and their machines of war and oppression are turned in against their own people. We are seeing more of this now, where life is no longer enjoyable. So everyone, or a lot of people, are on this self-destructive path, destroying themselves and destroying everything around them. If you are lucky enough to be amongst those that were adherents to our early podcast, you'll understand where we went through this. Obviously, this is not a good position to be in. You don't want to be that man that's either consciously or subconsciously destroying himself, either through some very detrimental addictions, or some self-abuse or self-neglectful habits. Let me give you two examples. I want to give you four examples, but I'll give you two examples that I know of, and these are possibly the most extreme examples you'll hear. So there are two men. The first man, and this is true, It's not incredible. You men will probably know of similar examples.
There
There's one.
absolutely is a war against strong, competent men at the spiritual aspect, and you're screwed.
Yeah, I was going to touch upon how the self-destructive path takes form or affects every aspect of your well-being, your mental, your spiritual, physical, wealth. The self-destructive path, once you head down it, without wanting to sound cliche, it just overtakes your life, which is why it's so important, which is why the things we talk about are so imperative, they're so critical for particularly modern Western men, particularly when you reach your 20s. You're going to need to know about these things. But let me tell you about this man. This man, he had his house bombed. We won't name the country, otherwise it could turn into unfortunately politicization and nationalistic conversation. But this man, a neighbouring country dropped a bomb on his house, blew up half his family, his wife and children in bits. Well, when he came back, he surveyed the rubble. Of course, disaster, very upset. Emotionally and spiritually, he's compromised now. When a man goes through that kind of thing, even if it looks like he's composed, inside, he's going through the most.
The more confident and intelligent you are, the stronger their hatred and jealousy of you becomes, hence why so many young men are lost and cold.
The most turmoil will be the worse the conflicts inside him will be. It is an existential fight inside his head. But this man, rather than screaming and tearing at his clothes and blaming the enemy, cursing, vowing to slaughter the opposing nation, he shifts through the rubble. He buries his family, and he goes through all the bricks, or goes through what's left of his home, and he takes what personal items he can. Very, very personal, very emotional. He eventually, after some time, he leaves the country, he emigrates, he slowly rebuilds himself back up, and he becomes fairly successful. He gets a qualification, he gets a career in his new country, but the most valuable items, to him anyway, he holds are the items he rescued from his destroyed home. That's example number one. The second man, and I knew this man personally, his wife, he has a wife and 3 kids, very young kids, I think 6, 3 and a 1-year-old. 6, 3 and 1 year, yeah, very young kids. His wife wants a divorce. So what does he do? Obviously there's an order, a restraining order. He's not allowed to come close to the house. So one night, while his 3 kids are sleeping in the house and his wife is in the house, he returns, burns the house down with his 3 kids sleeping in it. Thankfully, nobody was injured. His wife, his ex-wife, and his 3 kids were pulled out of the house before the house burnt down. This man, he served just over a year and a half of I think a 3-year sentence. I think his solicitor pleaded, I can't remember what that is, when you plead that you were emotionally distraught and you weren't able to control yourself. But yeah, he's lucky he didn't get a attempted manslaughter charge. But yeah, he spends just over a year and a half in prison, and then he gets repatriated back to his country. So do you see, two men, two disasters. One man dealt with it one way, and another man dealt with it another way. And it's sometimes, and I hope you'll understand that I'm not just talking, conceptually. These are things that I've been through myself. These are situations, these are traits and characteristics I've tried to practice myself. But yeah, my video on self-control, very, very important, especially when you're on our level, on the level, when you're past MGTOW, when you're past manosphere. You need to have control of yourself. Not like control like you're going to put a stop to all your emotions. No, you need to control your emotions. You need to choose which emotions you're going to use and act on. You need to know which thoughts are your own and which thoughts are your demon self. You need to know what and how to think, and you need to know the process of getting yourself back to yourself again. Yourself meaning having rational, long-term decision-making capabilities. And even though it sounds like management speak, being able to make good decisions is actually a very rare and important characteristic that a man needs. In fact, it's so important, it's one of the basics of how they choose a CEO. CEO being one of the highest paid positions in any industry, really. So when you are in this heightened state of emotions, when you are going through disaster, it's very difficult for you to discern which is yourself and which is your emotional self. It's also very difficult at that point to assess who your friends are and who your enemies are. It's very easy, and this is the norm when you're going through a disaster. You start to alienate everybody. I think it's a natural defense, because really you start to think, well, if they were good friends, why didn't they prevent this? Why didn't they do something before this happened? All types of thoughts go in your head. Like I said, you're no longer your rational self. Not only that, but it's quite difficult to tell yourself that you're not rational. You quite literally lose control of your mind. Something else takes control, and you can't tell this man that either. If you're friends with somebody who's going through a tragedy, you'll know how difficult it is to try and help them, especially being men. Men are not like women in this sense. You can't talk a man down using, how would you say, using your normal conversation, using your normal dialogue. So, yeah. So another example is a man, he goes through something like that.
When a real man deals with hardships, we don't seek attention or victimized. We put our boots on the ground and move in silence.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A strong man will know, or will have control enough to know who he can share his news with and who he can't. It's tempting, and unfortunately it's quite easy just to let it slip out to the wrong group as well, to the wrong individual, and then before you know it, all the idiots and all the shills and all the bad characters and bad players all of a sudden I've got the news, and they've turned a bad situation even worse. But yeah, you consolidate yourself you take time away from everybody, because because like I said, you don't know what decisions you're making are made as your emotional self, and what decisions are made are part of your rational self. The two aren't necessarily always opposing, but I think you'll understand what I'm saying, in that you're not your normal self when you're going through it. To try and get help during that time is also difficult, because if you knew how to help yourself, you would do. Sometimes it is helpful to have somebody who you know is resourceful to try and help you in that situation, but they will know that it's almost impossible to help you, except using maybe some financial support, maybe some company, if you're lucky enough to live close to a close friend. But most importantly, I think people at that point, and I think you all knew I was going to go here, you will be spiritual damaged, and in my opinion, that's the worst to be, because I think when you no longer believe in your purpose anymore, when you no longer believe in the good aspects of life, then you really are heading down that spiral that we all talk about, where there's no return, where you're self-destructive. You're going to destroy yourself and everything around you. And you definitely don't want to go there, guys. But yeah, consolidate your resources. Be like the first man. Yes, it's a disaster. We recognise that. Yes, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to nearly anyone that could happen to. But think next year, think the year after, think 10 years ahead, like this man did. He collected what was valuable, what was left, and he rebuilt himself. God bless that man, and any man that's had to go through that as well. I know. It's men, women, and children that go through it, but women and women
I've
get a
noticed
lot
that
of
more and
attention.
more men don't have the testicular fortitude to handle hardships or a tough situation. Today they fall back on par.
Yeah, it's. I dislike to number one. I dislike to build a victimhood, and secondly, I dislike to play down the situation, because it really is so destroying. I think I would even argue that most men don't make it through. I think most men, after a disasters like the two I mentioned, they're never the same. They never enjoy life in the same way. They're never happy again like they were before. They're never positive like how they were before. Even though they can rebuild their life, it's just never the same. I know some of us dislike to use the term broken men, but I would say parts of them are lost. So I dislike, number one, to play that, to sort of facilitate for them to play that a victim, because that doesn't help. Because no one's going to feel sorry for you, sadly. Even though people who do care about you, there's only so much they can do. And the reason why I said that spiritual defeat is the worst is because they can't help you spiritually at all. This is one thing that I have found. No matter who it is, no matter how strong your friends are, spiritually, you're on your own. You're going to have to rebuild that inner spirit, where you're going to have to refine the values in life, in existence. You're going to have to rebuild your purpose, and really nobody except you can do that. So I just like to facilitate that victimhood. So I'm very careful not to play that pity party on them, which I dislike doing, because I really feel for a man, for both them men, really. Yeah, that guy shouldn't have burnt down his house. Stupid thing to do, really. We say that, but to him, he
You have to
probably,
be alone and endure hardships as a man to truly find yourself.
yeah, have to find yourself. But yeah, consolidate your resources. Don't be like those men of Wall Street. You must have heard them now. You know, it happens once or twice a year now. You know, some millionaire kills himself because he's lost 2 billion or whatever dollars on the stock market. He's still a millionaire. I remember, what was that? I can't remember his name. The guy, he ended himself even though he had over $1 billion. He lost 12 billion, some crazy number. But he was still a billionaire, you know. Even if he spent $10,000 every day for the rest of his life, he still won't be able to spend it. So, like I said, you lose control. And again, I dislike to sort of do that man up thing because I think that's quite patronizing as well. You know, you can't tell somebody, you know, to be strong, you're going to live through this. You can't say that. That's so, you know, so patronizing. So you begin to understand how difficult it is for the man that's going through this. But believe it or not, this year, October, November, I was seeing it happening all over the place. It was a dark couple of months. A lot of men had to pull themselves through some really tough times. I don't know what it was about October, November, but many men still trying to gather themselves, which have to replan their next few years. But I do have one friend. You guys won't know this guy. I've got one friend. He's German. I know him through social media. He's always talking about his young son. I believe his ex-wife is from another country, and obviously, I'm just waiting for the news that his ex has gained custody of his son. I'm just waiting for that news. Anyway, a couple of weeks ago, he announces he's got some really bad news, and the people that he was planning to spend Christmas and New Year's with, he's not going to be able to spend with now. He's taken down all his music. He's a fairly accomplished musician. I like some of his stuff. I was actually looking forward to the time I was going to add some of his tracks to my playlist. He was that good. Man, that reminds me of that. Can anyone remember that old MGTOW guy that adopted a bunch of hamsters? I think his name was Punk or something Punk. But he was an amateur musician and he was actually really good. I've got 3 of his tracks on my playlist. And whenever it comes on, like when I'm playing it in the background and I've got friends or guests or family over, I always tell them I know this guy, and they can't believe it. They think he's a proper professional musician. I can't remember, there's something Punk or Punk something, back in the old MGTOW days. But anyway, back to my German friend. He's wiped off all his music tracks. He's dumped it. He's wiped them all off his PC. He's never going to see all his old work again. He's deleted all his old videos. And he's now cryptically, vaguely, ambiguously saying how he's done with being nice, how nice never got him anywhere. And he's making all these anger videos out of there, probably the best way to put it. These vengeance videos. Of course, I presume that he's lost custody of his kid to his ex. So I tried telling him, because I've not told him before of my situation. So I told him some of the things I do when I miss my children, and he doesn't get it. He's not listening. He's not connecting the dots. I'm sending the words, I'm writing the words, and he's not able to connect the dots. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. And this is always a problem when you're in an emotional state. Your cognitive thinking is just not the same. You don't understand things as you normally do. And after a couple of messages, I thought, I'm just not going to help this guy. There's nothing I can say or do that's going to help this guy. And then he starts sending out even, how would you put it, quite venomous videos. So whereas before he had a list of videos of his musical tracks of his work, he's now got this huge long list of anger, vengeance, cursing, calling people cunts, calling people knobheads. So he's gone from being cryptic and ambiguous, and now he's just gone on a hate rampage, just swearing at everyone, completely out of character. And I'm thinking, this is just something he's going to regret. And then I'm thinking, when is he going to stop? At what point is he going to stop hurting himself, destroying himself, burning his bridges, setting his own house on fire? And then you take the example of the other man. The other man, he knows he's compromised. He tells very few people. He tells those that are closest to him, those that have been proven and vetted, have his interests at heart. He composes himself. He takes stock of his resources, and he starts again. How does that poem go? When you can keep your head when all around you lose theirs, when you can lose it all in one turn of pitch and toss, and then still rebuild without ever mentioning your loss to another soul.
How are you doing, RRN?
I think life is, that's just how life is. It's just about, I said it before.
Hey brother.
I said it before, life is quite, is very bland for the most part. And then suddenly you might get the occasional joy, and then suddenly you might get the occasional disaster. How does that poem go? I do like that poem, actually. It says, triumph, don't let the two liars triumph and disaster trick you. Yeah. So going back to what I was saying originally, if you think that life is just about enjoying yourself, you're not going to be equipped to deal with disaster. Probably you should go back to some of our early teachings, our early videos, when we do talk about some of the more rational reasons why life is neither suffering nor is it about enjoyment. I would just sum it up, and you'll forgive me if it's oversimplistic. I would just say life is about trying to find a sea of calm, and trying to make as much out of your little
I'm
pleasures.
finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I've been through it the last 8 months. After the new year I should be in a much.
Good on you, brother. Good on you. Without going over past material, that is what I would. That's a definitely good piece of advice there. Reviving real news. It's seeing yourself being in a good place. I think when you're at that point where you can envisage yourself being in a better position, I think that's a good turning point. That's a upper rung in the ladder of where you want to be headed. But yeah, we're all going to go through some difficulties, some small, some catastrophes. it's what we talk about. It's what we know. No matter how well you prevent or how well you take precautions, there's gonna be some bumps in the road. Hopefully, your lifestyle that you lead, it isn't one where it isn't one where you're like you've built a house of cards. Like once one disaster touches you, your
That
entire
was great
life.
to hear, good sir. Salute to Dak for sharing the GoFundMe saluting face.
So yeah, I won't go over all our points of podcast, but it is the kind of thing we talk about, and yeah, our prayers and thoughts go to our brothers that are going through it now, that are being unfairly treated. Unfortunately, one disaster does lead to another, but like I said, or the point to my monologue today is, don't let the fire spread. Don't let the domino of disaster fall onto the next. Stop it where you can. Limit your losses as much as you can. Collect your resources, even if it's a few cents.
Dropping a like and hello. Thanks at man out of time saluting face.
Okay, D-Man, take care. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again, God willing. But yeah, so don't victimize yourself.
I fought so hard for everything and it looks like my efforts will pay off. I found a private landlord and he already offered me a key.
God bless you, brother. God bless you. I like that. Bit of good news. I do like sharing good news. I think helping each other through tough times and sharing good news is possibly one of my favourite parts of being being part of the manosphere. I think good news can inspire and lift spirit. Yeah, I was thinking that. Why is it? In fact, it's something we do in management and in education. I think they call it the growth mindset. You get like the individual, when they hear good news, they're inspired by it, they're encouraged to do well themselves. And then you get the other mindset. What do they call it? I can't remember. The other mindset, the guy that gets jealous, the guy that looks down on the other person that's doing well because he wants to be the only one that's doing well. Yeah. But hopefully, we're all of the first mindset. But it's always good to hear good news. I'm always encouraged when somebody from our circles starts climbing the ladder, starts rebuilding himself. But yeah, so don't facilitate the victimhood mindset, and don't fall into the man up patronization. Possibly something akin to well, everybody's situation is different, isn't it? Really, I think that's why most of the rebuilding is done by yourself, because really you're in the best position to know how to rebuild. You're in the best position to know. Don't think that. That's another thing. As men, we don't really ask each other for help. I mean, nobody knew I broke my leg. Not a single person. People just thought something was wrong because I hadn't posted for like 8 months. So I didn't tell a single person. I didn't. In fact, I think for the first 3 or 4 days, I didn't even contact the hospital. It wasn't until the pain was so bad, and obviously I couldn't physically go out and get some pain. I didn't even know about painkillers. This is how detracted from the medical community I am. I didn't even know about like paracetamols and Codamol and all that stuff. But yeah, as men, we're very reluctant to ask for help. It's a shame. Maybe one day when we
Lots of
rejoin
people are mad and
society.
upset at me, because I did this damn thing all on my own. I receive horrid messages and such every day, but they far.
Yeah, I wonder why men are like that. I think because our expectations of society are just become so low. I mean, it's always nice when somebody comes up with a little gift. That's always nice, isn't it? You know, pops in a few credits for your letterbox or in your bank
They want
account.
men to
That's
be
always
beholden
nice.
to someone. They want someone to be able to take credit for our success and progress.
You do get very little credit these days. It's always because society has got this. In fact, even the men have got this that somehow that we're privileged. We're somehow pedestalized because it's a patriarchy. But like I said, no point feeling sorry for yourself. You just got to get back on your feet. You got to pick up whatever. How do they say in the US? Pennies. You got to pick up whatever pennies are on the floor. You got to rummage through that
Did you and Laz have a
burning.
Christmas podcast this, or did I miss it?
Yeah, sorry, AMG. We didn't. We were planning one. We did want one, but looks like we won't even be having a New Year's Day one. As I was explaining at the beginning of this, circumstances, not just one, but a few of us are going through it at the moment. It would be unfair, and I would advise if you're going through a disaster, if you're going through a tragedy, don't put yourself out there. Don't advertise your disaster, and only tell those that you're very close with about it. Those that either know how to deal with
If
it,
you want to
and
do the
those that
live stream, I will be available actually.
maybe like I said, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Always have hope. I know a group of us they dislike the concept of hope, but they dislike it in that they think hope is false in our current situation. But what I say is, it's hope is only futile if you don't know how to plan for a better tomorrow. If you don't have, if you're not resourceful enough, if you're not strong enough to rebuild, then yeah, hope will seem futile. But I don't think you should build your purpose on the premise of the values of society, meaning
Lazarus had a disaster. How can we help?
meaning just because society's gone to shit doesn't mean that you should give up and join that helplessness. I know we've coined it learned helplessness, but I say always throughout have hope, because just as your year, your day, your plans turn to shit over one event, things can improve, things can turn around.
Let me put out my email low.
Sorry about that. I think you can put your email on your about page. So yeah, so like I was saying, one event can turn you back up again. Just as you can lose it all in one turn of pitch and toss, you can win as well in one turn. So just do know that, and you will. I promise you, you will have a win at some point if you stay on this path. If you keep on looking up and climbing forward. You don't look back. You don't play that victim, or you don't use that as your identity card. And you're always rebuilding. You're always learning. You're always improving your skills, your health, your financial situation, your spiritual strength. There will come a time when you will have a win. So there is hope. It's not just me saying that. I think if you're honest with yourself and you are genuinely realistic, you will see that your life has had ups as well as downs. I know that's cliche, but quite often, as I said in my last broadcast, we're unappreciative of some of the good things that have happened to us. It is a victim mindset when you focus on the disasters. And like I said, you now identify yourself as a victim of a disaster. Don't look down on your blessings. Don't look down on the good times as well. You did have some good times. I know you did. And you will have more good times ahead as well. So, I don't know, I wish I could sound a bit more positive on that ending. But yeah, this was just a general a catch-up on why we didn't have a Christmas podcast, which we normally do. And it's normally quite pleasant. It normally does lift our spirits up, puts up in a good footing for next year, 2024. 2023 wasn't all bad, actually. 2023, I think, for the most part.
Some form of faith. Without faith you will fall for anything. Faith also allows you to see that God gives us free will.
Yeah, well said, brother. I think you do quite well on these chat rooms, Reviving Real News. Some real gems of wisdom there. But yeah, at this point, you should have some principles and values relating to, your purpose.
Was very trying to us all.
It was trying. I think, as I said, October, November was especially difficult for some of our more beloved members of our group, or some of the brothers that are more close, we're more familiar with. But I would also say 2023 had some good highlights as well. I would, and I can't stress this enough, I would recommend you do think about those times as well, because this will inspire you to recapture them. There's nothing wrong with repeating good practices. If it works before, learn from your successes as well as your failures. But yeah, I think that's about it. I wish I could speak for longer, but I only woke up 3 hours ago.
I always consider the podcast as my Christmas present. It feels like Santa didn't visit me.
Oh, God bless you, Emmett AMG. I do like that. Thank you.
Never grow and learn.
I think tough times.
On the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing.
I think tough times is a test of your character. I think it would be good if we could build and grow without disaster and catastrophe. But then, how would we know what we're made of? There's, you can train martial arts and combat your entire life, but how do you know you're really good until you're in an actual life and death fight combat situation? But yeah, wishing you all, especially AMG, especially Reviving View News, a happy new year and an even more prosperous 2024. Yeah, do look back on on 2023 successes. Play down your failures. Play down the the
Exactly,
damaging,
we have way too
detrimental.
much manufactured stress and fear prone.
Yeah, play it down, brothers. Don't dwell too much on it. Even if it is a, a septic pus on your mind, play it down. Cover it up with a band-aid. Get yourself back on your feet. Do whatever you need to do to feel good again. And life isn't
Happy
about
New
misery.
Year. Hope to see y'all next year.
Thank you, AMG. Life isn't all miserable. Do things that you find joy in. I know I always say watch your favorite films and eat your favorite food, but go to some of your favorite places. There's one place I go to like once every couple of months. I love this place. There's always somewhere that you normally forget, mainly because you're so down on the dumps, you forget these nice places. My favourite cafe has been shut. My favourite lunch place is closed as well, which I guess is not too, I feel sad for the guy because the guy, it was his business, really nice. He served really nice lunch, always fresh. Poor guy, he's lost his business, so why should I feel bad that I've lost my favourite lunch place? But yeah, do things that you enjoy, and try and find new things that you might like. You know, life, life doesn't have to be miserable. What did Walt Whitman say? There's life, there's identity, there's opportunity. The the theatre is. Did he say theatre? The powerful play. The powerful play goes on so that you may contribute an act or two. So, what will your act be? I always thought about saying that to my. Don't worry, guys. I've said much better things to them. My lessons are full of mottos and phrases and motivational speeches. Man, I'm jealous of my own students. So anyway, thanks for joining me, gentlemen. Hopefully we'll meet again before too long. But have a happy new year and a great 2024. Peace.